This is my Indian made pre-unit Enfield bullet. I've been having trouble selecting gears. I can get it to downshift but not upshift. So what I'm going to do is have a look at the external gear selector mechanism. I think the ratchet may be worn. I've already tried adjusting it and it doesn't seem like there's any adjustment left. This gearbox had a pretty catastrophic failure not so long ago, and I've had to replace a lot of parts in it. It may be that this doesn't fix the problem, but it's worth a try. It may be that I've got a bent main shaft, but what I'm going to do is have a look at the easy bit, the external selector. So I'm going to remove the outer gear case, replace a couple of parts inside the gear selector, and then we're going to go through how you adjust that to get it to select both up and downshift gears. So it's a useful exercise anyway. First off, we need to take off the kickstart and the gear shift. These could have a variety of different spanners. This one has 13mm M8 nuts, nut and bolt on the kickstart. So we'll take that out. Some of them you'll be able to just wiggle this off, but I know this one's pinched quite tight, so I'm going to have to spread the pinch. So we shall misuse a screwdriver just to open that out slightly and pull it off. Put that to one side and loosen the gear lever. And then that should come off. We'll put that to one side. Now I'm going to remove the neutral finder. I should say I've got the bike on the stand. I've got the rear wheel propped up off the bench so that I can turn the rear wheel so we can check it selecting gears after we've rebuilt it, and it's in neutral at the moment. So I'm getting an 18mm, so that probably means this is a Whitworth, but an 18mm fits. So we just undo this central bolt. So we'll have the central bolt. There's a cap and a spring. There's a thrust washer. Put those to one side, and then this assembly comes out. It's just sat over a square shaft, and that's in two pieces. Next we need to undo the screws. So the one on this plate is holding the face plate on as well. We need to undo that one, that one, that one, and that one. This is just the stop for the neutral selector. We don't need to undo that, and this one just holds the cover on, so we don't need to undo that. So I'll crack all of these loose. We've had them off before because I've been fiddling with this a bit. There's no oil under this cover. There is oil under the next cover. So we don't need to drain anything to remove this. So we need to remove all of these screws. So that's a long one. This is also a long one. And this, as I remember, is also a long one. And then the next two are short ones. You will sometimes find this lower one, water can get in here and it can pool at the bottom. Sometimes this one's a bit corroded, and so it can be stiff to remove. On my trials bike, I had a real problem with water getting in and sitting in this bottom area here, so I actually just drilled a couple of holes in the bottom of the casing to let the water back out. It doesn't seem to be a problem with the road bike. So that's another short one. So now we'll be able to lift this whole outer plate off. It's still attached to the clutch cable in there, so you'll be able to see that's the clutch control arm attached to the cable. It's slotted so you can kind of wiggle it about and unhook the cable from it. There we go. So you can see there's a slot there that allows it to unhook from the cable. So we'll put that to one side. And now we have the external gear mechanism. I have it greased. So that's the clutch operating rod there. This is the gear selector arm, which attaches to the ratchet mechanism. So I'm going to replace the wearable parts in this ratchet mechanism. But as you turn the gear, it effectively moves this part, which picks up a ratchet and rotates the selector arm inside the gearbox. So I need to undo these two half nuts, which again I think are probably a Whitworth. They take an 11mm spanner. That usually means it's a quarter. So ordinarily you wouldn't remove these when you're adjusting it, but we are replacing parts, so you normally just need to loosen them. And it's fallen off. That's great. I'll just stop you while I find that. Okay, so I found both of those half nuts. I usually just put the parts down inside the casing to one side. So there should be a washer in there. Yes. That may also have fallen off, but we can find a replacement washer quickly enough. So this plate lifts off. It also has a thrust washer here. So there's a thrust washer and our plate. That exposes the ratchet mechanism. So this is what I'm going to be replacing. So this just lifts off. There are several parts to it, but they just lift off, or they ought to. So that's the inner ratchet, and that's the outer ratchet mechanism there. So I'll give this a clean up, and we'll look at reassembling. This is a good point to show you the adjustment on this mechanism. So these two posts here hold the back plate on, and the holes in this back plate are slightly slotted. So when we're adjusting the point of gear shifting, we loosen these and move this plate and then tighten it back down again to get the point where it will change both up and down. So that's the idea behind that. So I'm going to put the inner ratchet in, my new inner ratchet. I'm going to use some molybdenum grease on all of this so it moves nicely, because it all wants to wants to move, and this isn't oiled by lubricated by any other means other than the grease that's in there. It isn't 100% watertight as well, so if moisture gets in, it could rust. So this pin is captured inside there, and this pin is captured inside this spring. There we go, that's in. And then we have the inner ratchet, which has a boss on one side. The boss goes to the outside. I just confirmed that with the parts diagrams. And obviously it's got a square hole, so it will fit over there. I'm convinced that's fully down. No, it appears to be. Okay, so next we need to put our keeper plate back on. Make sure there's no muck on that. So that goes over the boss on the internal ratchet, and then we've got our thrust washer on top of that. And then we put our half nuts and washers back on, but I'm not going to tighten these down fully. I'm just going to put them on so that it holds it in place. So this sets the travel stop when that plate rotates. You'll see in a moment when this plate rotates, it hits the stops in there to stop it over shifting. And the second half nut. I don't think this is all as fully down as it should be. I'm just going to give it a tap and make sure it's fully seated. No, clearly is. Okay. So if you remember those adjustment posts, I'm going to get a spanner and loosen those. You don't need to turn them by much, just a little bit. Just so it's actually better if it's very slightly gripping this plate. Now I'm going to temporarily reattach the gear shift. And we do need to tighten that slightly. That's the wrong size spanner. That's the correct size. Otherwise it'll slip on the splines. So you'll see the mechanism there. As I shift down, it turns that inner ratchet. It should pick up the out. It turns the outer ratchet, which should then pick up the inner ratchet and turn it, and opposite should happen the other way. I can tell almost immediately it's not downshifting far enough. So what I need to do is rotate this plate. You can see that's moved. So having moved it, you kind of need to. This is a lot of trial and error. I'm going to nick it down in position, and you can feel when it starts picking up the ratchet. So that is downshifting. It seems to be upshifting. I think it could come more that way. This is just the initial have a go. Well, it's maybe as far that way as it goes. Okay, well, let's see how that works. So I'll just nip these up, and we'll nip up these half nuts. And what we need to do is find out if it's going to select gears. and doing that static won't work because the engine's not turning, the wheel's not turning, the gears won't necessarily mesh together. So we need to turn the rear wheel and see if we can engage a gear. So we'll try for first. There we go, that's first. Okay. That's back to neutral. Now we can't shift down. So we have that over adjusted. We're stuck in neutral. It won't upshift. Down for shifting up. So this becomes a bit of a laborious process. We loosen our half nuts again. Loosen our posts. And I'm going to move this back plate slightly. So you can move the back plate by lifting the gear lever. You may or may not be able to see it, but that moves the whole back plate. It doesn't have a lot of movement. I'll try it halfway. Interestingly, I have the opposite problem to the one I had before, in that now it is, well no, actually I don't. No, it is still refusing to change up the gears. Right, tighten these down. Right, let's see how we're doing. So, turn the back wheel, see if we can get first. That's first gear. Yes. Neutral. That got second, but not very well. And it's not shifting very positively into second. Keep jumping back into neutral. So we'll try that all the way the other way and see what happens. As I say, this is just trial and error. So loosen our half nuts. Loosen our posts. If I can get on the flats. Two posts. Let's try it that way. This may be too far, but that would be good. Because if I get it, if it's now at a point where it will shift up but not down, I know I need to be halfway between where I was and where I am now. So let's give that a try. Okay, so we're in neutral. Okay, we've got first. Back in neutral. Absolutely not even entertaining picking up second, which is a pest. If you want to, you can verify that it's shifting through the gears. You can manually shift the gears by directly moving this. So I'm in neutral. Now I'm in second. I'm just lifting on the this is quite stiff, which I think is probably indicating that I have more problems than just this. It is getting the gears, and it should have fourth all the way at the top, so I'm in fourth gear now. So that's fourth, third, neutral. I think that's back in first. No, no, that's first. Yeah, that's first. That's neutral. Okay, that's second. But no, it won't change anymore. So it would appear that no matter which end I'm at, I can't get it to change gears up. So that means I have more problems than I thought in my gearbox. So let's get this back into neutral. We'll just run through it one more time. Right, that's neutral. Again, loosen, 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 and loosen. In theory, when I have the plate rotated all the way anti-clockwise, it should be, sorry, when I have it all the way clockwise, it should be in the best position for getting a good upshift, and the other way around for a downshift. So we're definitely, there's something not right in here, and actually the stiffness of that gear shift lever was kind of indicating we have either a damaged selector shaft or a bent main shaft inside this gearbox, which we'll have a go at. That's first. Yeah. That's neutral. It's having absolutely none of changing into. Oh, there's second. Oh, third. I think we're in fourth. Okay, maybe it will work. Fourth, third, second, neutral, first. Shall we try through again? So we're in first, neutral, second, it's still not engaging that very well. No, it doesn't want to engage those. So yeah, I'm going to have to strip the outer gear case as well to get the gearbox. But you see how that adjusts. I'll go over this again when I reassemble it properly. We'll go on to completely dismantle the gearbox, extract the main shaft, put a new one in, inspect the selector, and go from there.